Hello, this is Mr. Penofio. Thank you for letting us take the time to work on your argumentative essay. Overall, you make compelling supporting arguments to your hook, such as schools should pay more attention to children's mental and physical health. After looking through your body paragraphs, they relate back to the hook, which is important to ensure the content you write is still relevant. Here's how we're going to review your essay. We'll go through each paragraph and talk about what works and what we can improve on. Let's look at your first paragraph. With your hook, you mentioned that schools should work on building rapport or trust with students by addressing their mental and physical health, which is clearly stated, which foreshadows the upcoming body paragraphs. That's awesome you foreshadowed what's to come because your readers can have a heads up of what to expect as they continue reading. What we should address is the last sentence, which is no fun to any or no sports players. Maybe you can further elaborate on what you interpret as no fun. You could discuss what athletes can do to prevent being injured in the introduction or in the body paragraph involving physical health. Let's go to your first body paragraph. In the first body paragraph, I want to acknowledge that you gave the reader a cause and effect approach to mental health. If schools further ignore or neglect the student's mental health, it leads to depression, isolation, and sleep disturbance. You included that if they experience these three outcomes, they can't keep their head in their game. Even though I know that translates to they can't concentrate when they're playing sports, we also have to consider writing to a reader who isn't familiar with that phrase. But I'll let you decide on how to rephrase that sentence. Let's move on to the second body paragraph. On the second body paragraph, you mentioned that sports can cause injuries like torn ligaments and muscle aches. Even though you gave a cause and effect to the dangers of sports, you can also include how those torn ligaments and muscle aches can prevent them from doing certain activities or maybe even everyday activities. Then you could go into detail on what those activities are in your own words. I acknowledge that you cited sportsrec.com, but me as a reader, I feel confused to what you specifically cited. I can assume what you wrote or paraphrase the sentence before was taken from the website, but we can be clearer by taking a direct quote from our source and then putting it on the second body paragraph. Let's go to the third body paragraph. You're telling the readers that you're aware that student athletes are still developing human beings. Even though I can recognize that, just like earlier, is there a way for us to rewrite the first sentence? An example could be coaches should be aware that student athletes are still developing. If they put too much pressure on them to perform well on the field, then this and that. You could fill in the blank there. With the last sentence, you mentioned the phrase a lot of trouble. Can you further elaborate to what kind of trouble they can get themselves into? Let's go to the conclusion. You paraphrase what you wrote in the past 4 paragraphs. You mentioned that schools should check up on a student's mental and physical health when participating in sports, which is a reminder of what we've read so far. With the phrase, and others want to make their family proud of them for being active, you can add something else like students participating in sports is a way for their parents to be proud of them because the parents might have not had this opportunity growing up. That could be one example. The last sentence, schools should just check on kids more because they never know what's happening to them, is an important message and a great call to action. Can you also give us some hypothetical examples of what a student can experience outside of school? Aside from that, I don't have anything else to say about your paper. Overall, your message is clear that you want adults in schools to acknowledge and value a student's mental and physical health when they're involved in sports. You're off to the right track, but we can further improve what we already have by elaborating our supporting arguments to our claims. Sure, we can provide only one example to a claim, but we can flesh it out even more with an additional example. Aside from that, be proud of yourself. This is a start to a strong argumentative essay. I'll see you next time.